Okay, let's take another computation pattern and generalize it. The function takeLine. The idea of takeLine and takeWord here. It should take the first line from a given string. So a line is defined to be all the characters up until, but not including, any new line-like character. So if we take line from the empty string, which we can either write as brackets or as double quotes, then we return just the empty string. A line that starts with a character C and continues with CS, well, it depends on whether the character is not a new line character. That's a \n single quotes character. If it's not a new line character, then we take the character C, that will be part of the first line, and then recursively take the rest of the line from the C's. Otherwise, will be equal to, well, if it is the new line character, that is the new line character, then in fact we've taken a whole line, and so we return the empty string. We terminate the current line. Okay, let's just try that again. And there you see, if you take the first line of the verse, you indeed get the first line. Okay, now let's take another example. takeWord. These are not standard functions, but they are instances of a general pattern that we'll see shortly. takeWord should take the first word of a string. So what is a word? It's all the characters up until and not including the first blank character or tab character or anything like that. So I'm going to write this by cutting and pasting from the previous example, and that's actually a good hint that this is a recurring pattern that maybe we can generalize. So instead of testing whether we're looking for the new line characters, we need some handy function to test whether something is a space character. So let me go to our trusty friend Google and ask whether we have anything which takes a character and gives us a Boolean. So what are the character to Boolean characterization functions? And a whole bunch of them, and they live in data.char mainly. Is ASCII, is control, and so on, is digit, quite handy. And if I go far enough down this list, I come across is space. True for any Unicode space character, including the control characters, tab, new line, and a whole bunch of other weird and wonderful control characters. So instead of using not equal to new line, I'm going to use is space. And if I want to actually use this, I need to import it. So I'll import it from data.char, which is where I found it according to Google. And the is space function is the one that I'm using. So I'm not going to import the whole of that library, but just the one I need. Okay, so that's the definition of takeWord. I'm just going to neaten it up a little bit so we can see the commonality between these two functions. Oh yeah, I realize there's a mistake there. So when it's not a space character, I take the character. Yeah, okay. I think we're debugged now. Let's try out that example. The first word of the verse was the single word A. Okay, so what is the repeated computation pattern here? We're going to generalize it to a function called takeWhile. But there's nothing about this function which is specific to strings. It's a computation pattern which should work for any kind of list, providing that the elements that we're looking for that determine when we've got to the end of the characters, the things in the list that we want, is a Boolean valued function. So the name of this general pattern is called takeWhile, and I'm going to put a prime on it because otherwise I'll get confused with the standard takeWhile function. It's in data.list. We'll come back to that shortly. So it takes some kind of predicate as its first argument. You take a thing, and it tells you whether that thing is what we characterize the end of the characters that we want to fetch. So this will be a bit easier when we code it up, and I'm just putting in the second parameter here, and looks like I've forgotten the first parameter, but not to worry. Let's call it P, for it's a predicate. So if P holds for the first element, then we keep the X, and we recursively take while on the rest of the list, not forgetting the two parameters, not just the one parameter. Otherwise, we haven't found a character that we want, so we return the empty list. I think that looks okay now. We tidy it up, and let's split that over 2 lines because the lines are getting quite long otherwise. And there we have it, the takeWhile function.